Hello, fellow Daz Studio enthusiasts. This is Not From This World, and I want to welcome you to my tutorial series. Now, tonight I want to talk a little bit about a problem that I discovered as I was rendering this Halloween picture with Milica, and that is the problem of noise. And this occurs especially in dark renders, and so if I go to an iRay preview of this scene I have set up, you're going to notice that it is going to be pretty dark. I've got a very dark background, and Milica herself is wearing black. And so what we get is this artifact called noise, and it's a bunch of kind of whitish dots, and this can appear anywhere in our scene, but as I do this iRay preview, you're going to notice that we get these white dots on Milica's clothing. And so as we render, the noise can be reduced, but what I've noticed is if we go to things like our tone mapper options, we can get rid of or reduce the noise, but we tend to lose the quality of the render. So what I want to do is I want to show you today how we can get rid of this noise without compromising the rest of the picture. And we're going to do this in a simple post work in GIMP. So I'm going to set this up. I'm going to go back to texture shaded. I'm going to set this render up, and we're going to render it, and I'm going to show you what I mean by saying that this render has noise with Milica's clothing. So let's just do a quick render, and this won't take very long because this scene is actually pretty simple. We're going to get a nice render, but you're going to see the noise in her clothing. Okay, so I let this render go to 100%, and if you look, we have these little dots. It may be hard to see, but when you render, you're going to notice, especially on her clothing here, we've got all these little white dots. This is what we call noise. We even have some down here on the pumpkins. There's some noise right here in the corner of this jack-o'-lantern's mouth. And there may be even a little bit of noise over here on the right where the pumpkin has kind of a bright candle contrasting with the darker. Now, we can play with this in Daz and try and fix the noise in Daz, but there's a really simple way that we can get rid of the noise in post work with GIMP. And that's what I want to show you. So I'm going to go and save this, and I'm just going to save it as Halloween, and I'm going to open it up in GIMP. Okay, so now I have this open in GIMP, and GIMP has a cool feature under filters. And so if you go to filters and then go to enhance, what we can do is we can go to noise reduction. When we select this, though, it's going to reduce the entire picture, and we don't really want that, so I'm going to hit cancel. You notice how when I did this, this enhancement and I reduced the noise, it blurred her face and everything. So we don't want to do that. We want to keep her face nice and crisp and keep the detail in the picture as much as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my free select tool. I'm going to select my free select, and I am going to zoom in to 200% so you can see this a little bit better. So now you can really see these dots, this noise all over her clothing. So with my selection tool, I am just going to select her clothing. I'm just going to kind of draw around her clothing and connect it. Now with this selected, I can go to Filters, Enhance, and then go to the noise reduction. When I click that, you notice all the noise disappears. Then I can hit OK. Now it is blurry, so to help with the blur, I'm going to go back to Filters, I'm going to go back to Enhance, and I'm going to drop down to Sharpen. When I hit Sharpen, it sharpens that image more, and it may be a little bit too much, so I'm going to make sure I click on this blending options. If you don't have it selected, it'll be a little plus. Hit the plus sign, and then you'll have opacity, and we can take this opacity and kind of lower it down a little bit. We can manipulate this and get the clothing the way that we like it. Then we just hit OK. And see, now when I zoom out, we'll go back to 100%. You can see that we still have nice crisp lines everywhere, but we have now denoised. We have gotten rid of all that noise on her clothing. So I'm going to select all to get rid of that. And I can come down here if I'm really concerned about where there's noise, like on the corner of this pumpkin's mouth, this jack-o'-lantern. I can do the same thing. For my render, I don't really care too much about the other noise. The noise in the background, there doesn't seem to be much. So I just wanted to get rid of that noise on her clothing. So now I'm really happy. I'm just going to go File, Export As, export it, hit Replace, hit Export again, and now my picture is going to be saved, and when I go to it, we see we have a better render. So in this case, we need to do a little bit of post work. You know, Daz Studio has its limitations, and we're always working a little bit with post work. And so I'm really pleased with this, and check out my next post, which will be on Halloween, and I'll show you how I set this scene up step by step. So until then, I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. I always try and answer my comments. So if you have a question, I will try and get back to you as soon as I can. And all right, have a wonderful night.